chair to begin. I will give some options as we come to standing and even possibly coming to the floor, but just know that you always have the option to stay seated in your chair for the entire class. I'll give you lots of variations for practice and postures, and just ensure that you're practicing in a way that feels appropriate and in line with how your body and mind are doing today. So as you come to sit, sit mid-chair, so you're sitting slightly forward on your chair, and your feet are able to touch the floor. Now, if the feet don't come to the floor easily, so without coming too far forward on your chair, you can always place blocks or some books underneath your feet to give them a bit of support. But that's only if you have any challenges actually touching the floor with your feet, like I do. Good. Then your hands can rest into your lap, shoulders settled onto your back. And if it's comfortable for you, we'll begin practice by closing the eyes. If you prefer to keep your eyes open, you're more than welcome to do that. But try as best you can to allow your eyes to soften just a little bit. For the next few minutes, there's really not a whole lot to see. And as you start to turn your attention away from your gaze, from your eyes, you can actually help heighten the sensitivity of other senses, like your sense of hearing or smell. So as you start to soften or close the eyes here, see if you can pick up a few more observations through your other senses. Maybe hearing some other sounds. Maybe noticing the temperature in the room. Maybe picking up some of the remnant flavors of breakfast on your tongue. Or some of the scents and smells that travel on the air in and out of your nose. So whether your eyes are opened or closed, the eyes themselves are soft. And you start to turn your awareness towards other sensation. Sensation of the body sitting in the chair, the weight and placement of your body here, how your limbs are positioned and feeling, how air is traveling through, in, and around. Even starting to notice maybe what sort of emotional feelings are you having as you're coming into your practice? Are there any thoughts that are kind of floating through as you start to come in to your yoga practice? Just observing, just taking note of how you're arriving here today. And again, with the eyes soft or closed, now start to tune in to the parts of your body that are actually connected to the foundation or the earth. So from all of us, it will be the feet. Even if your feet are up on blocks, you'll feel your feet on a firm support. As well as, since we're sitting in the chair, the secondary support is the hips. So you feel your hips on the chair. The chair is on the earth, and there's a steadiness and a support there for the hips. So with the eyes soft or closed, start to tune in to these places that are actually supported from the earth upwards. Notice if you're setting into those supports equally and balanced, or are you finding you're leaning into one side or rolling a foot open or clenching the toes, which actually lifts you off of the support. Try to soften what can be softened here and really settle in to that steady support below you. Now starting to establish your yogic breath, your deep belly breath. Letting each inhale expand you just a little bit, and then letting each exhale gently soften a little bit more. with an awareness in the hips and an awareness in the feet. Let's bring a little bit of motion into these foundational places. So starting with the feet, as you inhale, lift just your toes up off the floor, spread them wide, and then as you exhale, place them back down. So just the toes. Inhale, lift the toes up, spread them wide, and then exhale, place them back down. One more time like that. Inhale, lift the toes up, spread them wide, and then lower them back down. Nice. This time as you inhale, lift your heels up. Again, just as high as is comfortable, and then exhale, lower them down. And then inhale, lift the heels up, placing the foundational weight into the toes. And then exhale, spreading it back around the soles of the feet, right to the heels. One more time, inhale, lift the heels up. This time, keep the heels lifted, walk the feet in just a little bit, and let's circle the ankles. So you're moving around on the toes. So you've actually lifted some weight off of the feet. So that if you're lifting weight off the feet, that means a lot more weight is now resting into your hips. That's your primary source of foundation now, is the hips. Let's circle the heels the other way. Good. Now notice here, lift the heels back up into center, walk the feet a little bit further forward, and slowly place those heels back down, letting a bit of the weight from the hips now spill down the legs back into the feet. Good. Let's press down into the feet now. And we'll do a little bit of motion for the hips. First, starting by tucking your sit bones underneath you. So that's going to require you to lean back slightly. We'll start to round the spine, hugging the belly in. So you're going to feel like the front of your thighs and hip joint there is opening up a little bit as you tuck your sit bones underneath you, rounding in, looking towards your belly. Take one more breath here as you extend the arms forward to hold your knees. Keep the hands on the knees now. We're going to untuck the hips. So feel like your sit bones are peeling out from underneath you, pointing out behind you. Arms are straight in front. Lift the chest, lift the chin. Exhale again, tuck those sit bones underneath. Really tuck the tailbone under, hug the belly in. Round and look towards your belly. Good. And then inhale, untuck the sit bones, lift the chin. Moving through cat-cow here, our Marjariasana posture. That's actually, asana is the word for posture. So we say Marjariasana, means the Marjorie posture. Good. Let's round back in again. One more time. Let's inhale back up. This time we're going to shift the rib cage over to the right and then add that circular motion as you go to the left. Inhale, lift up through center and go towards your right. Good, circling around. So for today's practice, I want to point our awareness to different parts of the body. Right now, we're paying attention to the hips. So even though we're circling here from the rib cage, you're going to feel some circular motion into the hips. Let's try going the other way now. Go in the opposite direction. Good. Really nice. Good. One more circle like that, feeling that rolling action into the hips. Coming back into center now, let's sit up nice and tall. Again, distributing the weight of the body. There's a fair bit of weight in the hips because you have the whole torso above, but let there be some weight down into the feet. Start to press your feet down into the ground. Good. Then we're going to inhale, both arms straight forward. Bend both elbows so they're about level with your shoulders, and then pivot the hands so the hands are about in line with your ears. Good. As you inhale, you're going to reach both arms straight up towards the sky. Now, if this aggravates your shoulders at all, you could keep the hands pointing straight forward instead and reach out in front. So as you inhale, the arms reach out. As you exhale, curl your fingers over your thumbs and pull those elbows in. Inhale, reach out. Exhale, pull in. Inhale through the nose as you reach out. Exhale now out the mouth, nice and strong, like this. Good. Strong breaths here. Let's get some oxygen moving. Good. Work through a little bit of the fatigue here as we're just starting to wake things up. As the energy gets flowing. 3 more. Inhale now, reach out, big breath in. Slow exhale as you curl the fingers over the thumbs and bring those elbows in. Good. Inhale, reach out. Nice slow exhale as you draw back in. Good. Again, inhale, reach out as long as you can. This time as you exhale, fold forward, coming halfway by placing the elbows on the thighs. So setting about halfway here. Lift the chest up. Start to feel some length coming out of your hips, drawing forward through the chest. And pressing down into both feet. Feel how you engage the strength of the legs. That actually lightens your hips just a little bit from the chair. So the hips aren't actually lifting here, but because we're using the strength of the legs, the hips don't have to take so much weight. Good. Let's bring the hands back up onto the knees and inhale straight up to seated. We'll do a little bit here for the neck just to get some warmed up muscles there of the neck, letting the head turn from side to side. Go slow enough here that you can really feel the effects of the motion, really feel what's happening through the joints of your body as you move. Good. Bringing the head back into center now. Tilt your head towards your right. Let's bring it back up and tilt over towards the left. Good. Let's bring it back up into center and towards your right. And then into center and towards the left. This time as you come over towards the right, let the head stay there, gently tilted towards the right, shoulders settled onto the back. And your left arm might dangle down beside you. For some of you, if it's appropriate, there's no injury or arthritis or osteoporosis maybe in your spine or neck, then you might take your right hand over and rest it on your left ear. Okay? But try not to add that extra weight to the neck if there is any concerns there. Just let the neck muscles find their own way of opening and lengthening. Notice as you're sitting here that you're not starting to collapse down. That will feel like the weight is in the back of your hips. Try to place the weight right at the base of the hips, right in the center. Then we'll release that right arm and bring the head back up and then tilt it over to the left. Again, watch as the head tilts, that your shoulders are not tilting with it. Keep your shoulders level, just let the head tilt. Good. You can stay here. Let the head just tilt over, let gravity do the work. Now again, if there's no concern for the neck, you might take the left arm over and rest it on the right ear. This is just an option. Softening that left shoulder. Letting gravity do the work here. With that yogic breath, we're returning back to that belly breath. We're breathing in and out through the nose. You're going to release your left arm now, bring the head back up into center. But if you're using blocks, I'm going to encourage you now to put your blocks off to the sides. We're going to do a little bit to wake up the core strength of the body, that really rooted place in the center where all our strength actually originates. So from there, we're going to start to march our legs in place, lifting the knees one at a time, straight up and down. So your hands can stay rested on your thighs, or if it feels better for you, your arms might stay rested beside you. And we're working here just to march the legs straight up and down. So it doesn't matter how high the legs come off the ground. Just a little bit of motion. As we're getting that motion in the hips, and you can feel the shifting weight of the hips as one leg lifts and the other one comes down. Right? Because we're shifting side to side in our foundation, but our upper body is not also shifting. We can keep our upper body pretty still as we move the legs. Good. So there's a few options here now. You can continue to march in place. So especially if you have any lower back concerns, or maybe today the belly muscles are feeling quite tired, you're going to stay with this up and down motion with the legs. Trust me, that's going to do some work in the belly, but it's going to also take care of the lower back. If the lower back's feeling okay, the next time you lift your right leg up, keep it lifted, lift the chest up, and then come onto your left toes. Walk the left toes in maybe lift the left foot off the floor. Now you do tend to lean back just a little bit. So try to lift up through the heart. Try not to collapse in the lower back. Some of you might take your arms up. Good. Engage the belly muscles a little bit here. Not so much that you can't breathe, but a little support there of the lower belly muscles. We've got it. Remember those who are still marching in place. That is great. Keep marching in place. Beautiful. We're going to place the right foot down first, then let the left foot down. Now let's all fold forward. All the way down if it's okay for you. If there's concern for blood pressure, keep your head above your heart. Take some deep breaths here. And then slide the hands up the legs now as you inhale, rolling yourself up, reaching up, and then exhale, let's fold all the way down. Good. Inhale again, let's roll up, sweep up, exhale, fold down. Beautiful. One more time. Inhale, rolling up, sweeping up, exhale, let it go. Good. Bringing the elbows back up onto the thighs, slowly making your way back up to seated. Good. Finding again, both feet flat on the floor and the weight in your hips. Notice your foundation, sitting up tall. Let's begin to march again in place. Now, one of the challenges with marching is our legs tend to want to turn out or maybe even in, and they tend to want to migrate. They want to march out or in. See if you can lift your feet and lower them exactly from the same place. It's a very tightly controlled, precise movement to require the muscles to work in a very contained way. So there's very little opportunity for compensation here. Good. And again, if marching is what's working for you today, stay marching here. You'll feel some work in the belly, but you'll be taking care of that lower back. If the lower back's feeling okay, the next time that the left foot comes up, you're going to keep the left leg lifted. Lift the chest. Good. Maybe come up onto your right toes. Keep the chest upright. Try not to collapse here. Keep the chest lifted. Maybe lift the right foot from the floor. Good work. Maybe take the arms up. We call this boat pose here. So there's this sort of banana shape from the knees to the chest. Good. Maybe you straighten your legs out just a little bit. Maybe. Good. Make sure you're not collapsing in that low back. We got one more breath. Then you're going to lower that left foot down first. Then take the right foot down. Let's all fold forward. Good. Hands to the front of the legs. Inhale, roll up. Sweep up, exhale, fold down. Good. Inhale, rolling up, sweeping up. Exhale, folding forward. Beautiful. One more time. Inhale, rolling up, reaching up, and let it all go. Good. Bring your hands on your knees. Again, slowly come up to seated. Have a quick look at your feet. Bring your heels so they're directly below your knees and your toes are pointing straight forward. Lift and spread those toes wide onto the ground, and once again, start to press into your feet. Send the weight from your hips down into the feet. Good. From here, let's bring hands together, interlace the fingers, and press the palms forward. Now, of course, if this is painful on your fingers, you might take a hold of one wrist with the other hand and extend through there, or maybe today you free up both hands and reach straight out. Good. Pressing into the feet, reaching out through the palms. Maybe you start to lift the arms up a little bit higher. Check out those shoulders. If they start to rise up to the ears, soften the arms down just a little bit. Let the shoulders stay away from the ears. Pressing into the feet. Good. Now, if there's any concern for the knees, hips, or low back, you're going to stay like this, using the strength of the legs, reaching through the arms, breathing that deep yogic breath. If the knees, low back, hips feel okay today, on your next inhale, you're going to root into those feet and lift straight up out of the chair. Reach up, look up. Now bend those knees, sit the hips back, and come all the way back down into the chair. Take your time. Good. Press into those feet. Let's lift straight back up. And then bend those knees, sit back and down. Good. One more time. Inhale straight up. Beautiful. Bend those knees, sit back and down. Good job. Let's inhale and come all the way up now. Reach up, exhale, release the arms. Let them come down and around behind you if you're standing. Then inhale, turn those palms out and bring them all the way up overhead. Exhale, let them come down and around behind you. Inhale, straight out and up overhead. One more time, down and around behind you. Beautiful, straight up and overhead. Reaching up, looking up. Good. If there's space in the shoulders, you might again interlace your hands, release your index finger and point straight up. Otherwise, keep both hands free and extend through the arms. Now remember, if the shoulders don't like that, do not appreciate that overhead extension, maybe the arms come straight forward. Maybe you take your fingertips into your shoulders. That will take off some of the pressure. From here, press down into both feet. So whether you're seated or standing, the action is the same. Then you're going to exhale over to your left. Inhale up into center. Exhale over to the right. Good. Inhale up to center. Let's exhale to the left. Inhale center. Exhale right. Beautiful. One more time each side. This time as we go to the left, we're going to pause for 3 breaths. Press equally into both feet. If you're in the chair, also make sure the weight is equal in both hips, as that's your secondary foundation there. Let's inhale back up into center and exhale over to the right. 3 breaths here, rooting into our foundation, finding stability and then freedom. Good. Inhale back up into the center, release the hands, bring them down to your sides, turn the palms open. Standing tall or sitting tall in your Tadasana. Feeling both feet on the floor. If you're sitting, feeling your hips on the chair. Once again, closing the eyes if it's comfortable for you. And coming back to tune into the other sensations going on inside the body, inside the mind. Beautiful. Okay, if you're standing, bring your chair around to the right-hand side of your body so that the back side of the chair is facing you. If you're sitting in the chair, stay seated in the chair. Just make sure you're partway forward and both feet are able to rest on the surface of the floor or maybe onto blocks. Okay, wherever you are now, your feet are parallel and the toes are pointing straight forward. So we all have various standing habits laid into the joints and the muscles of the body. So you might notice the legs, the feet want to migrate, turning out or turning in. Just be aware, be attentive to the position of the feet. Try to point them straight forward. Good, now wherever you are, you're pressing down equally into both feet. If you're standing, be mindful here that you're not locking your knees. Just a soft little bend in the knees is going to help really engage strength and weight in the feet. Getting longer and taller through the spine. Okay, if you're standing, you're going to shift more of the body weight into your left foot. If you're sitting, you're going to keep your hips equal on the chair, but lighten shift more weight into your right foot. That's better. The leg that's closest to the chair. We want that leg doing the most work. That's our weight-bearing leg. If you're in the chair, though, it's a little different. We want to keep the hips level. And then wherever you are, you're going to lift your left heel up. So you're on your toes of the left foot. Okay. Use the strength of the right leg again to distribute the weight down from the hips into the leg. Press down. Then you might lift your left toes from the floor, lifting the knee up, maybe level with the hip. That's as high as it will ever need to go. Maybe it's only hovering from the floor, or maybe today you've kept the big toe down. That's perfect. Stay there, stand or sit tall, use the strength of that right foot, that right leg. Good. Then maybe the left arm comes up. So this is where our eyes can be very helpful. As you fix your eyes on one point in front of you, that will help to steady the mind and steady the body. When the mind is distracted, the body starts to move around unnecessarily. So keep the mind focused, then the body will steady. If you're standing, you might start to lift one finger at a time from the chair. Good. Good. You might take that arm up overhead. You might keep a finger or two or the whole hand on the chair. That's okay. If you're sitting in the chair, keep both arms lifted. One more breath like this. On your exhale, your right hand will come down, then release the left arm down, let that left foot come down, return to your Tadasana, let the weight distribute through both legs, both feet. Take a deep breath in and out. Good. Now we're going to take the weight of the body and shift it to the outside leg. That's the left foot. And then start to lift your right heel up. So you're coming onto your right toes. Then you might lift the right foot from the floor, maybe. Maybe today you keep the toes on the floor. That's okay. Beautiful. Good. Then from here, the left hand's going to come across to the right thigh. And then you might stay here, really rooting through the standing foot, really lifting through the chest. Some of you might start to turn your chest towards the right, coming into a bit of a twist. If you're standing, your hand that's on the chair, you might start to play with it a little bit. See if you can take some weight off of the chair. Maybe even extending that left arm out behind you. Very good. Slowly unwind, bringing the right hand onto the chair, gently unwinding the chest to face forward. Release that right foot down. That was really good work. Now we simply take the chair and move it to the other side if there's space. If there's not enough space around you to do that, simply turn your body around. That'll work too. So this is for those who are standing. Your chair is on the left-hand side of your body. If you're seated, you're seated straight forward, hips on the chair, feet on the floor. Returning to our Tadasana, where weight is equal in both feet. And if you're sitting, also in your hips. We're going to put the weight back into that left foot. We just used it a moment ago. We're going to put the weight back into that foot. Use the strength of that leg. Press down into the left foot. Come back up onto your right toes. The challenge here, our body has lots of different ways to try to help us balance, but sometimes those ways actually throw us off kilter, and we use muscles in an inefficient and even sometimes unsafe way. So we want to make sure that our weight is staying relatively centered, even though we're using kind of a side leg or leg on the side a bit more. So watch that hip. Sometimes it likes to shift out towards the chair. Just notice if that's happening. Keep the hips level, then maybe lift that right foot from the floor. Good. Maybe take that right arm up. Good. Maybe take the left arm up. Now remember, if you're in the chair, your right leg, so if you're sitting, your right leg is lifted, both arms extended. Breathing here. Very good work. If your left arm is up, let the left hand come down. Then take your right arm down, your right leg down, returning to your Tadasana. Some nice deep belly breaths. Then we're going to shift the weight over into the right foot. Lift and spread those right toes. Actively press into your right foot. That's going to help ignite the strength of the leg. Then you'll come up onto your left toes. So really gauge your sense of balance today. Maybe keeping the left toes on the floor is appropriate for you. That's great. Do that. If balance feels steady there, you might lift the left foot up. I have my hand on the chair here. I haven't let it go yet. So keep a hold of the chair if you're standing. Then maybe take your right hand across to your left thigh. Each of these options are just adding some difference. Not necessarily better or worse, just difference to the experience. So just coming to a place that feels appropriate for you. You might start to add in the twist for yourself. You might not. You might lift the left hand from the chair. You might not. Wherever you are, though, you feel the foundation, the parts of the body that are connected to that stable base. Good. If your left hand is lifted, place your left hand back down. Slowly unwind. Release the left foot to the floor. Palms open to the sides in your Tadasana. If closing the eyes feels okay, take some deep breaths in and out. If you're sitting in the chair, bring your palms together again. Interlace your fingers and press your palms forward. If you're standing, turn towards the back of the chair, holding onto the back of the chair and pressing down into the chair as you walk your feet back into a downward facing dog. Be aware here that the hands on the chair are not pulling back on the chair. They're pushing straight down. You'll feel that right up in the shoulders. Soften at the knees, gaze towards the toes. Deep, full belly breaths. Good work. Lift the gaze, look towards the chair, walk your feet up towards the chair. If you're sitting in the chair, release the arms down. And then if you're standing, turn the chair to face you, making sure you've got lots of space out behind you. And if you're comfortable coming to the floor, you can use the chair to help yourself down onto the ground and then bring your legs up onto the chair. For those of you who aren't comfortable coming to the floor, simply have a seat in your chair. If you're sitting in your chair, sit all the way back. So now your back is against the back of the chair. You might like to place some blocks or books under your feet. And then wherever you are, whether you're lying on the floor or sitting in the chair, let your hands rest on your belly, your elbows settle, shoulders settle, eyes closed. Feel now all the parts of your body that are touching a supportive surface. So for those on the ground, you'll feel your back, your head, shoulders, hips on the earth, and then your calves resting on the chair. If you're sitting in the chair, you'll feel your spine against the back of the chair, your hips and thighs on the seat of the chair, and once again, your feet on the earth. Consciously register all the parts of your body that are touching that firm base, that firm support. And now give into that support. Let it hold you, using a little less muscular effort to support yourself. And with that support at the back of your body, see if you can also feel your breath in the part of the body that is touching the support. You can kind of feel an expanding sensation against the support, a little push, not through muscular effort, but simply because of the expansion that happens as we breathe in. And then you'll feel almost like you're receiving the support back into the body as you exhale. It's all that muscle effort to breathe in softens, goes towards an exhale, emptying out. Take a few more breaths like that with full awareness of the breath in the body, feeling the body against that support, settling in. Those of you sitting in a chair, slowly fold forward on the chair, wrap your arms behind your legs, and gently squeeze your upper body down on your lower body, onto your legs. If you're lying on the ground, you can now slide your legs into your belly, holding onto the shins or behind the thighs, giving the legs a squeeze into the belly. You'll feel that compression there at the belly, letting the back open up. For those of you lying on the floor, extend one arm overhead and roll yourself over onto your side. Being mindful of where your chair is, depending on the chair, you might be able to slide it away, you might not, which means then your body will have to turn a little bit. So you've got some space to extend your legs out. If you're sitting in the chair, slowly come up to sit nice and tall. Move your hips forward on the chair. So once again, you're sitting at the center of the chair, feet flat on the floor. Then take your hands. This is for those sitting in the chair. Take your hands around and hold the sides of the chair. For those on the floor, walk your feet in a little bit closer towards your hips, allowing the feet to stay in line with your hips. So they're not going wider than your hips. They're also not touching. And then bend your elbows so that your fingertips are pointing towards the ceiling. All right, for those of you in the chair, press into your feet, press down into your hips, lift your heart up and slowly curve your spine back, gently, being mindful of any issues along the spine. If you're lying on the floor, you're going to press into your feet and this time allow your hips to lift, but also press down into your elbows and a little bit into the back of your head. That's your place for support as you lift the hips up. Then let's all slowly exhale and gently release that motion. Then again, inhale, coming into your back bend. If you're on the floor, your hips lift. If you're in the chair, it's your chest that lifts. As you exhale, lower back down. But let's do 5 more like that. So lifting the hips if you're on the floor, lifting the chest if you're in the chair. Moving with your breath. Good. 1 more like this. Inhaling, lifting the hips if you're on the floor, lifting the chest if you're in the chair, pausing there, and take just a couple breaths with that position there in your back bend, feeling all the points of your body that are holding the foundation or pressing into the foundation, the earth or the chair. Then take your next exhale and slowly release. Very good. For those on the floor, lift your hips again just a little bit. Shift your hips to the right-hand side of your mat or the right-hand side of your body. So it's going to feel kind of diagonal from your shoulders to your hips, letting your hips come down onto the floor, bringing your knees now into your belly and letting your legs go to the left. So we're coming into a twist with the hips slightly skewed a bit to the right. Legs going to the left, then arms going wide. If you're in the chair, you're going to walk yourself around. So staying in the chair, but you're going to pivot yourself around so you're sitting on the right-hand side of your chair. And then take your hands around to the back of the chair, coming into your twist here. Wherever you are, breathe deeply in and out from the belly. On your next inhale, slowly unwind. If you're on the floor, you're going to lift your hips up, shift your hips over to the other side, a little bit more to the left-hand side. So don't just stop in the center. Move your hips a bit more to the left. Let them come down onto the floor and then take your legs over to the right. Those of you sitting in the chair now, you're pivoting on the chair to sit off to the left-hand side. Taking your hands around to the back of the chair and coming into your twist here. Wherever you are, you're breathing deeply. Beautiful. On your next inhale breath, slowly unwind. If you're sitting on the chair, you're going to come around to the front of the chair, maybe using blocks again under your feet as you slide all the way to the back of the chair. If you're on the floor, lift your hips up, move your hips so now they're in line with your shoulders. Your spine feels straight again. You might take your legs straight out from there, or you might place a bolster or some pillows under your knees for some support. Or for today, you might even keep your knees bent and your feet on the floor. Those in the chair can rest their hands into their lap as their back settles against the back of the chair. If you're on the floor, I'd encourage you to let your arms rest on the ground, palms up at your sides. If you wear glasses, this is a really nice time to remove your glasses. Give your face a rest. Closing the eyes now, letting those eyelids drape heavy over top of the eyes. Feeling no urge or sensation for the eyes to open. Release any effort or shape that you might be exerting on your breathing. And start to feel the body sink into its own position. Maybe the legs flop open. Maybe the shoulders grow heavier. Complete giving over to the support that you have. Letting go so that now you can use the energy, all the energy you have, to be aware, to observe all that is in this present moment without a need or desire to change anything, but to simply be with what is, as it is, for the next few moments. And I'll bring us back when it's time to close the practice. Beginning now to gently move through your fingers and move through your toes. Waking up again to feel the body's position on the earth and in the chair. Notice if there's maybe any patterns or habits of the body to try to lift away from the support that you have. Our bodies are so well tuned to be active, to be doing, even if it doesn't look so on the outside. And our Savasana is a time to reteach the body how to be, how to rest, how to restore. Just notice if you have any patterns there of gripping or tightness or pulling away from the chair or the floor. And smile, noticing or knowing that you've noticed those patterns, but without judgment. Simply noticing. As you begin to move more through your fingers and your toes, you'll feel your energy start to spark back up. You might let your head turn a few times from side to side, again, feeling out the motion in the neck and the shoulders and through the jaw. If you're lying on the floor, you can bend your knees and slowly roll yourself over to one side, taking your time to make your way to sit up, either on the floor or in your chair. If you're already sitting in the chair, simply scoot forward now, lifting your spine away from the back of the chair. Using, again, props under the feet if that's appropriate for you. Sitting tall, palms together in front of the heart. Feeling the foundation of your seat your hips, maybe also your feet. And from that foundation, grow upwards, get taller. Gently bowing the head in now towards the heart. Taking a moment to appreciate all the work that your body has done for you today already. To know that even if the body doesn't do necessarily everything we want it to, every day it is trying its best for us to do what it can. So thank you all for continuing to move, breathe, and be together. Namaste.